Hi everyone, my name is Nika, and my mom is the most ignorant woman. She just loves not answering questions, being offended, and generally pretending you're dead. Well, in a nutshell, it goes something like this. Except for one day, I wanted revenge on her, and that revenge was very costly. My mother's name is Eleanor. She is a beautiful, middle-aged woman. She has her own business, a beauty salon in our town. And at first you might think, wow, what a woman, both beautiful and intelligent. Maybe she is, but whatever she did, my father helped her everywhere. And why is that? Because she wasn't good with people, even though she was good at business. My mom was like bombingly resentful. I have no idea how my dad has lived with her for so many years and knows how to control her. But to me, as her daughter, it's a mystery. And so my dad would often hang out with her at work to get the information he needed, to make arrangements with people, to discuss important things, because my mom didn't know how to do that. I even remember an occasion when I went to her work to ask for money for a new dress. At that moment, my father was stuck in traffic, and I had walked back from school. My mom was sitting there all alone. "Mom, hi, how are you?" "I can't talk to you right now. I'm waiting for the big advertisers, and your dad's not here yet." "So what? Here's a chance for you to try and do it without him. You're the owner of the salon, not him." "You're a smartass. I can tell. You know he's helping me." "Yes, but he's stuck in traffic, and if he's late, there's no way out. You'll have to do everything yourself. Maybe the advertisers will be late. And wow, on a day like this, he's stuck in fucking traffic. Come on, maybe it's for the best. I mean, remember when you said you were gonna buy me a dress? You mean, give me money? That's what I'm here for." "Yeah, of course you did. Instead of supporting your mother, you only care about my money. Here we go." "Thank you so much. Okay, do you want me to stay with you until father arrives?" "I don't want anything from you. Go away." She was offended, which meant that she wouldn't talk to me for a week. "Come on, Mom, I'll stay with you anyway." So I sat down on the couch, and the ad men came in. Mom greeted them with a shaky smile. They sat down, greeted each other, and then got to business. Well, they seemed to be okay to discuss the terms, and then one of them said, "Maybe you can lower the percentage a little. We all like it, but the thing is that in your network of salons, the interior is a bit boring, or too austere or something. If it wasn't for the powerful advertising, we wouldn't have noticed you, frankly." They said this as a bit of a joke, with a little laugh, but my mother had a face of stone. She pressed her lips together. That was a bad sign. Usually it was my father who saved the day in these situations. He'd see her off and finish the contract himself, but he wasn't there. The gentleman did not immediately understand her expression. What did my mother do? First, she threw a glass of water at the man's face, a cup of coffee at the other, and then she just went off at the top of her lungs. Of course, there was no contract in the end. As soon as those men stormed out, my father came running in, but it was too late. He got in trouble for being late, and I got in trouble for spoiling her mood before the meeting. So everyone was to blame except for her. At home, our family quarrel escalated even more. I couldn't stand it and yelled in her face that she was nothing without my father, and that her salons were more like hospitals, and that was as if I'd signed my own death warrant. My father escorted me out of the room at once, but my mother never forgave me for that. I thought it was no big deal. A week without talking to me as usual, and she'd calm down. But no, 2 weeks went by, then a month. I began to ask my father if she was all right. "She's mad at you and pretending you don't exist." "That's understandable. She does that all the time. But for how long?" "I have no idea." "Dad, you're the only one who can talk her out of it. Talk to her." "You think I haven't tried? Do you think I enjoy passing your messages to each other?" "Well, how long can she do this?" "For long. She's got a lot of stamina, and she's got a lot of resentment towards you." "Oh my God. Whatever. If she's deciding to take a stand, I'll do the same." Since then, a ghostly kinship relationship has taken hold of our house, mine and my mom's. I didn't want to act like her, but I was determined that I would ignore her until she was the first to make a move. Let her know I also have a temper. Otherwise, she'd just get accustomed to blaming everyone else except for herself. So, the game began. We stopped having dinner at the same table. I no longer went to her work or helped her with shopping. In fact, as it turned out, we used to do a lot of things together, but not anymore. My boyfriend Tom asked if I missed her. I do. She doesn't drop me off at school anymore. We don't go to the spa together. All the things we used to do don't exist anymore. So make up. Only if she makes the first move. Why are you so stubborn? Once you start, you have to finish. I want to teach her a lesson. She can't act like a teenager. I need a mother, not a sister. You're right about that. So, what's next? Same thing. If she talks to me, I won't say anything. And if she calls? I'm gonna hang up the first 3 times. Let her know how I really feel. To distract me, Tom took me for a drive around town. I loved those moments. The good food, the streets, the car, and him by my side. Suddenly, my phone rang. What? Really? Who is it? Mom, can you believe it? Wow, what do you want to do? Like I said, I won't pick up until she calls 3 times. And Mom only called once. Well, what did I say? She doesn't mean it. What if something's wrong? No, then my dad would have called me. Then why would she call you? She didn't think about calling your dad? Shit. Okay, I'll call her back. I called back, but she didn't answer, and I told Tom that I wasn't going to grovel anymore. We went for our drive around town, and I got a little bit off my chest. Then 20 minutes later, my dad called me. Nika, your mom. Oh my God, what's wrong with her, Dad? I dropped the phone, and then, in tears, I told Tom to head to the hospital. When I got there, it turned out that Mom was suddenly sick with a heart condition. And for some reason, the first person she called was me and not my father. You can't imagine the guilt I felt. We waited in the corridor until the operation was over. It lasted several tedious hours. All that time I cried and told my father what a bad daughter I was. Even though my father tried to calm me down, I still felt uncomfortable. I hated my own reflection in the mirror. And then the doctor came out. Our conversation was short. He said that the operation was a success. However, my mother's condition was still critical, and she was unconscious. Now everything depended on her. They let us into her room. I was the first to run in. For the first time, I saw her in such a condition. Motionless with a pile of wires, she could barely breathe. I hugged her legs and begged her to forgive me. I realized what a fool I had been. I only prayed that she would survive. 3 days went by like that. It's gonna be okay, sweetheart. Your mom's stronger than she looks. It's all my fault, Daddy. It's all my fault. What if she doesn't wake up? What if she doesn't make it? What will I do without her? Don't say that. I don't even want to think about it. Who will scold me? Who will ignore me? Who will go to the spa with me? Who will I talk to about clothes? Who will love me as much as she does? And that's why you didn't answer your phone? Mom? Honey! I couldn't believe it. I felt such happiness and relief. I jumped on her, started hugging and kissing her, and she wrinkled slightly in pain. Sorry, Mom, I pushed you. How are you? How do you feel? I'm okay, daughter. Don't worry. I'm just weak. You gave us all a huge scare. We exhaled. The doctor came in and was happy too. 3 weeks later, she was released. At home, everything changed. I became more attentive to her. A month later, we went shopping together for the first time. That's when I asked her why she called me and not my father that day. My mother said, I didn't know if I was going to make it. I wanted to hear your voice one last time. We hadn't spoken for so long. That won't happen again. I promise. Even if you resent me, I will still talk to you. I hugged her and Mom smiled. It was real happiness.
Hi everyone, my name is Ralph. I want to share with you the story of how I adopted my son, but it got out of my way. I tried my best to be a good father, but in the end I became his worst enemy. Look at my history and write your opinion in the comments, what you think about this. In general, it was like this. I was 20 years old when I met and fell in love with the girl of my dreams. Her name was Sarah. She was so amazing that my head immediately blew off. I was sure that she was my destiny, so I did not hesitate, and after a couple of months I made an offer. Everything was fine with her until it came to the kids. We couldn't have a baby, and it was a nightmare. Sarah was obsessed with pregnancy and did everything she could to make it work. Sometimes I felt like she was challenging herself and couldn't carry out the plan, which made her feel bad. In the end, when we were running around the hospitals, when the strength and money were already running out, she offered me to take a foster child. To be honest, I didn't like this idea right away, because I believed that we still have time. After all, it's only been a year. I was sure that I just need to try again, maybe stupidly change the situation, and that's it. But Sarah did not listen to me. She ran around all these orphanages and looked for a child for us. She didn't even really consult me, and we had a lot of fights about it. In the end, she chose a boy in one of the boarding schools. You know, his name is Sam, and he was already 14 years old. Yes, this was far from a baby. Moreover, he already had a well-established mindset. He was not stupid, far from stupid, but so sharpened by the fact that he lives only one day. Sam was wild, like everyone else from boarding school, I think. In short, our first meeting with him took place, in fact, already at our home. I didn't go to pick him up from the orphanage. I decided to go to work instead. Sarah was beaming with happiness, but she knew I didn't support the idea. I held out my hand to Sam, and he looked at it like I was showing him my fist, very aggressively, so I took my hand away and went to my bedroom. In the evening we were going to dinner, and I sat down in my usual seat, but Sarah asked me to move. You see, Sam liked my place. I was indignant. They say I have been sitting there for a year, but Sarah asked me to give up the child. Okay, I agreed. After a while, it turned out that he liked my mug, my plate, my razor, my towel, and robe. I became really angry. What else could he like next? Maybe I belong in this house. I was angry with myself, but I didn't say anything yet, so we lived like this for about a week. It seemed endless, and I wanted it to be over and Sam to go back to his room, but I knew it would be cruel of me to take him there by the hand. And Sarah, she devoted all her time to him, didn't even pay attention to me, didn't talk to me, didn't look at me, and didn't even listen. She was fully occupied only, as she said, with our son. But what can I do? I didn't feel that it was ours. He was a strange adult guy to me. What kind of son can he be to me? One day, Sarah ran off on business and left us alone. We sat down to breakfast. As soon as she left, I immediately took out my phone and began to stare at it and eat more. Sam turned up the TV and looked at it. A few minutes later, I heard him rummaging in the purse that Sarah had left behind. The guy took her wallet, pulled out the money, and put it all back. I'm just freaking out from such impudence. Why did you take someone else's money? Not even shy, I asked maliciously, and Sam says to me, it's not your money, I want to take it. I tried to explain to him that this is our money and that he is like our son and so we do not have in the house, but brazenly told me that Sarah is his new mother and that she loves him more than me and that very soon I will not be in this house. And then I burst out. I got angry. I started yelling at him, and then Sarah came in. She saw such a picture, Sam is still an actor, immediately fell to the floor and pretended to hit him. I told him it wasn't true, that he'd made it up, but Sarah wouldn't listen. Well, then Sam said I yelled at him for stealing money when he didn't take it. Sarah reached into her wallet and couldn't find any money, so I told her to check his pockets. Sam turned them out and showed them that they were empty. But how is this possible? I saw it myself. Then Sarah came up to me and felt my pockets, where she found the money. How did he manage to slip them to me and when? Do you understand what happened after that? That's right, Sarah kicked me out of the house. Sam got his way, he pushed me out, and now he had no boundaries. He took my rightful place. Sarah didn't even look at me as I packed my bags, and the nasty guy opened the door for me and waved goodbye with a grin. I was so angry. I went to see my colleague. It's good that he took me in and told him about the situation. Then he asked me to stay with him temporarily and come up with a plan to get back. A colleague said that there would probably be a time when Sam decided to steal from Sarah very big and that this would require proof. Of course, not all at once, but it's worth waiting and catching the moment. First of all, on the advice of a colleague, I wrote to Sarah that I love her, but since there is no place for me in the house, I am leaving for my homeland. She knows where I'm from. It was important that she knew I wasn't here and that Sam found out. As we all knew, as soon as I kind of left, the little bastard got really fucked up. While Sarah was at work, he didn't go to school, threw parties at our house, drank alcohol, and smoked drugs. I caught it all on camera. Sam stole a car from our neighbors and got drunk behind the wheel. He crashed the car and immediately called Sarah and said it was all my fault. That is, her husband. Yeah, in this state, he forgot I wasn't around. I could hear everything, sitting nearby from behind the bushes, and filmed everything. 30 minutes later, Sarah arrived. She was dealing with the neighbors. At this time, Sam's friends managed to escape, and he took something to cut off. Sarah wrote out a check for car repairs and then went to the house to deal with it. I technically climbed to the second floor and sat next to the window to listen in on the conversation. Sarah told him that I was out of town, and then she cried bitterly, saying that it was hard for her to be with him. Instead of asking for forgiveness, Sam raised his hand to her and slapped her to the face. Sarah was in shock and asked him not to do it, but he hit her again. I couldn't stand it and climbed through the window. They were both in shock, and then I showed them the video. Sam didn't know what to say, and Sarah started to cry even more. Everything was clear. Yes, we got the baby back. My wife realized that we are not ready to raise such an adult child. So for now, we agreed to become parents of our baby, and then we'll see.